Hi, this is NikkiAyanna from Doing the Big Radio and Just Something to Think About. And I just got off the phone with one of my boys who pays maybe a little over $400 a month in child support. And he had an attitude because he's wondering where his money is going to, because every time he looks at his baby mama, she got her hair done and her nails done and she got a new outfit on. And he's wondering where is his money going to? Is that what his money is paying for? So he was talking about how he's going to start putting the money in his son's bank account, or putting the money, or actually buying the items that his son needs, whether it be a school uniform or whatnot. And of course, part of his attitude is, of course, rent came up, and he was like, well, she'd have to have a place to live anyway, so why do I have to pay for part of the rent when she would be living, have that expense anyway? So let's start there with some of the more obvious expenses, because clearly custodial parents, non-custodial parents, don't know all the operational costs that goes into raising a child. So I shared this with him, and I'm going to share it with you too. This is not for the non-custodial parent that pays thousands and thousands of dollars in child support. I'm going to say maybe anybody who pays less than $1,000, you need to listen to this. Okay, so first of all, I live in an apartment. I could live in a one-bedroom apartment that only costs me about $500 or $600 a month. But because I have a child, I have to pay $700 or $800 or maybe even $900 a month for an extra bedroom. Somebody can say, well, you could get a cheaper apartment if you lived in a different neighborhood. Yes, and guess what? Not going to happen. I want my child to be able to walk out on the back porch and not get shot. So I'm not going to apologize for moving out to a nice apartment that's in a nice neighborhood that costs a little bit more money. And guess what? You shouldn't want me to apologize. You should want that for your child too. So that's a couple of $100 off the rip that I'm paying extra because I have, wait for it, your child. So the other issue, transportation. This is one of the more obvious things, transportation. Yes. Okay, I just had to buy a new car. I had a car for 11 years. The transportation started going out, so I had to buy a new car. So I ended up actually buying me a truck instead of a car. But somebody could say, including my son's father, why didn't you go with a car? That would have been cheaper for you. Well, I had to buy a car, and with consideration that I have two boys that also play sports. So that being said, I had to have room for them. I had to have room for their sporting equipment. I'm doing a lot of driving during all types of weather, so I had to keep that in consideration, and trucks are considered safer than regular cars. But I also have a 15-year-old son who will be driving next year. I can't afford a second car, so I bought a car with him in consideration, something that he could drive and would not mind driving as well. Or somebody could say, well, that was your choice. Yeah, that's what it was, my choice. It's called, wait for it, parenting. We make decisions based on our children and their needs as well. So yes, sometimes my life is a lot more expensive because I have to consider the fact that I have two boys in my life that are part of that factors into my decisions on a daily basis. So that's room and that's transportation. Those are some of the more obvious things. You have things like latchkey or daycare and stuff like that you have to pay for. But let's move away from that stuff because that's the stuff that you guys think about. But let's talk about the things that you don't think about. We mentioned that the fact that my son plays sports. So guess what? I got to get them to and from their practices and their games on a weekly basis. So what does that mean? More gas money. Guess what? Gas is expensive right now. That's an additional expense. There's registration fees. There's equipment costs. There's travel costs if they make it to the playoff. But somebody could say, well, that's your choice. You enroll your kids. That's called, wait for it, parenting. If my children have any possibility of having any skills that can be developed that can lead to a possible career, but let's just say just a scholarship to a college or whatnot, that is part of what you're supposed to do as a parent. But even more importantly, it takes them off the streets and out of trouble. I don't want my child sitting around the house bored finding something to do in the street, which may end up meaning a gang or some type of mischief that they're involved in. No, my children 5 days a week are accounted for in an organized activity. Not going to apologize for that. That's an investment in your child. Let's get away from the sports and let's go with just regular things like how many hats and gloves and jackets have my sons lost that had to be replaced? Many of them brand new. Well, I can say, well, you lost it, you deal with it. Or do I want to deal with a sick kid because I wouldn't replace his hat or his gloves and let him go out in the cold? No. So those are things, that expenses that have to be paid for. Or how about all of the brand new outfits that have a ketchup or a red pop stain or something like that? that as it has wasted my money, because, and maybe even have to be replaced if it's a uniform, because they got stains on it, and instead of soaking it, they throw it in a corner somewhere, and when you go to wash, you realize there's this stain that should have been soaked that didn't get soaked. Now it has to be and you try to wash it and the stain don't come out. Or, okay, let's talk about all the things around the house that are broken, all that are now useless to us. All of the things, all of the milk that got spilt that didn't get used the way it should, so now I have to replace it sooner. All of the leftover food that's spoiled because they're picky and won't eat leftover food. And you could say, well, you can make them eat the leftover food. Okay, as a custodial parent, I'm the one that has to argue with them every day about what they should or should not do. So you should be paying me a salary just for that alone. Well, guess what? When I stayed home today and I'm cleaning up the house, there's a crack in the back of my couch. That means that if I move, guess what I have to do? Replace the couch. Why? Because there's no way they can move it, because once they try to move it, it's going to split in half. So that's something that I didn't do. Guess who did it? Your kids. There's a bleach stain on my carpet, which means, guess what? I'm not getting my deposit back because the carpet has to be replaced. What about the dinette set? Let's look at that. There was Kool-Aid stains and ketchup stains just from the other night that it has to I have to either get it pay to get it clean, or possibly even replaced, because who knows if these things are actually going to be coming out. So even regardless whether I pay to get it clean or I have to replace it, that's an expense that I, as the custodial parent, has to think about. I have had TVs broken, iPods lost, computers cracked. I had to get a second computer because my son, who has homework, and me, who does work from home, couldn't share one, so I had to get a second computer. These are all expenses that are operational costs to raising a child that a lot of non-custodial parents don't consider. So best believe anything under $1,000 a month probably is not enough. So don't sit here and, if I get my hair and nails done, or I have a new outfit on, really, as long as your kid is still walking, talking, going to school, and involved in athletic activities, that right there, there's your money right there. That ain't even including my money. Seriously, don't question if you have a good custodial parent, don't question where their money is going. Trust that there's not enough money to raise your kid. If you are paying tens of thousands of dollars a month in these outrageous, celebrity cases, that's different, and I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about the average man who pays a couple of $100 a month, $200, $300, $400, $500, maybe even $600 a month. Best believe you're probably not paying enough. So this is a custodial parent talking to non-custodial parents and trying to make you understand that there are a lot of expenses that doesn't go in front of a judge that has to be considered. And I am so sick and tired of non-custodial parents acting like a couple of $100 is enough to raise your child. Trust me when I say it's not.